Yeah, you wake up. You check your phone. You scroll for 11 minutes before you even sit up. Then you feel vaguely guilty about it. Then you do it again. You assume, somewhere in the back of your mind, that ancient humans were different, purposeful, busy, hardworking in some primal, noble way. But the real answer is far stranger, because when researchers finally started asking what prehistoric humans actually did with their time, the answer shattered almost everything we thought we knew about ourselves. Your ancient ancestors were not busy, not in the way you are, not even close. Anthropologist Marshall Sahlins published a landmark study in 1972 that upended decades of assumptions. He called hunter-gatherers the original affluent society, not because they had much, but because they needed so little. The Kungsan people of the Kalahari, studied extensively by Richard Lee in the 1960s, worked an average of 15 to 20 hours per week to meet all of their survival needs. That includes finding food, preparing it, and maintaining their tools. The rest of the time, and there was a lot of it, they rested, talked, played, and sat in the shade doing what looked from the outside like nothing. Nothing. That was the schedule. You have been running from something that does not exist. The idea that humans are built for constant productivity is not ancient wisdom. It is a very recent invention. The 8-hour workday wasn't formalized until 1817. Before industrialization reshaped the world, human time was structured by seasons, by sunlight, and by the rhythms of a body that had no concept of a deadline. So what did a day actually look like? You wake before dawn, not because you set an alarm, because light is information, and your nervous system has been reading it for 200,000 years. You do not rush. There is no rush. The fire from last night still breathes with a little warmth. Someone nearby is already awake. You sit with them. You do not speak immediately. Silence is not uncomfortable when you have shared every sunrise for years. The morning belongs to movement, not intense, scheduled exercise, just walking. Forager groups typically covered between 5 and 12 miles per day, but rarely all at once. You walk to water. You walk to check on the landscape. You read the ground the way you now read a screen, constantly, reflexively, looking for signals, footprints, broken stems, the direction birds are flying. Your brain is processing information at a rate that would exhaust a modern analyst, but it does not feel like work because it is woven into every step. Anthropologist Elizabeth Marshall Thomas spent years living with the Juhuanzi people in the 1950s and documented something that surprised her deeply. The act of gathering food was almost never anxious. People sang while they worked. They called out to each other across the brush. Children ran alongside adults and learned not through instruction, but through watching, copying, playing at the edges of real tasks. There were no classrooms. There were no lessons with a beginning and an end. Learning was ambient. It was just being present. By midday, the heat wins. This is not a failure of willpower.